me, Matt Perkins, from the Salvation Army's Youth and Children's Ministry Unit. In each episode, we meet a local youth worker and find out a bit about them and their ministry with young people. Today's guest is Ange Sampson from Abergavenny Corps in Wales. Welcome, Ange. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Matt. Thank
Good.
you.
I'm so glad that you could join us. Ange, we've spent a lot of time on Zoom conversations over the last year on certain networks. And we're on Zoom again, but we've never met in person. That just seems to be the way of the world at the moment, doesn't it?
It is rather, isn't it? It's quite odd. It's like you feel you really know people, but yet, you know, you've never been in the same room with them. Absolutely.
And then you meet people and wonder, you know, you think I'm 6'4", but in reality I'm a lot smaller. And you know, the whole lie goes out the window, doesn't it? But Ange, we're going to talk about youth work today, and to get to know you first, I must say, actually, I say you're from Abergavenny Corps. You are from Abergavenny Corps,
yes.
But actually, the majority of your youth work happens at a local project, doesn't it? Called 7Corners, yes. And we're going to hear about that in a moment. But first, we're going to look at your life in pictures. You're going to tell us a bit about you, but also your work.
Okay. Well, the very colourful picture is the wall that's opposite the centre where I am at the moment, and the picture shows young people helping other young people over the wall, but the young people who haven't come in yet are in monochrome.
Wow.
And they're in greys and blacks. But the young people helping them over are full colour, technicolor. So the idea is that we're helping young people to come into the light and the colour, the God colours of 7Corners. So that's the idea behind that.
No, it's a wonderful piece of artwork, and it depicts so powerfully what you're about and the centre's about. Thank you.
The other picture is a Cork Board that I decorated for a 24/7 prayer room. Well, we weren't able to do it in 2020, but we did get one off the ground in 2021. Meanwhile, we did lots and lots of detached youth work. We met so many young people when we were out and about. That when we did the prayer room, I felt that we needed to pray for those young people individually, and we were praying anyway, you know, every session we pray, but I wanted, you know, direct focus, concentrated prayers over each individual. So I wrote just their first name initial on a little tag, and it was in a bowl, and people were invited to take one or two and to pray them into the kingdom, really claim them for Jesus, and then when they'd done that, to pin them on the board so that, you know, all of those initials got prayed for. And I think Brilliant. There were just over 70 initials.
Wow.
They hadn't even yet come to the building.
I see.
Because we were closed.
So their names are represented and you're praying as a team for them.
Yeah. I've a real passion for 24/7. It changes things.
Yeah, prayer works.
Yeah. Oh, golly. Yeah. So,
and thank
that's
you.
what that is.
Thank you. And the third photo.
Okay. Well, the Caravan is what I live in. I lived... it's my sort of latest location, if you know what I mean. I was on the road for a long time, New Age traveller community, before I was saved, and I'm still living in my caravan because that suits me.
Yeah,
I'm happy in that way. I don't have an immediate family. I don't have children, so I live alone. And gardening is what I do now that my wheels aren't going anywhere and I've been given somewhere secure to live. So Brilliant. I've discovered a passion for growing things.
Yeah, I mean, Ange, it looks fantastic. Green fingers, as they say, but that's your very own plot that you've been able to make your own.
Yeah, I've been very hugely blessed.
And thank you for sharing something of who you are and what you do through those photos. We're going to move on and talk about your ministry with young people. What is 7Corners, the youth centre?
7Corners was set up originally as not as an offshoot, but because there was a group doing detached work called Teen Challenge in Abergavenny, an international organisation. And young people had said to the volunteers, we've got nowhere to go. We need somewhere to go. So back in just before this was bought in the year 2000, and the charity that I worked for was formed then. So it was separate to Teen Challenge, but it had been inspired by the work that Teen Challenge did on the streets. And, it just grew from then on in.
So you have that centre, but a big part of your work is also detached. So tell us a bit about, the needs of young people and how you respond.
We do operate sort of like a drop-in system, the door is open, come on in, which we've been doing for several years. And then we also had a detached project that we ran on Saturday nights. We had a little caravan, we'd go out, we went to the estates, and if we didn't have enough people, we'd go walkabout or try pop-ups, with gazebos and what have you, because we recognised that there were young people we weren't seeing, and also that we'd become quite quiet. We were thin on the ground. We didn't have a lot of young people in. You need to go to young people to come alongside them, because why would they come to your stuff anyway? Why would they? And an awful lot of the young people that we come alongside have a great mistrust of adults and authority. And so why on earth would we be people that you could trust anyway? So we go to them.
Yeah, and that's incredibly powerful, Ange, because as you said, the sense of the drop-in might have been quiet on occasion, and rather than just sort of sit there and work with young people that might come, you thought, actually, no, there's young people that do need trusting relationships with adults, have got deep need that we need to journey with them. If they're not going to come to us, we will go to them. And you've done that. And through that, you've built larger relationships. Not only are you working with young people out in the street where they might want to be, but you've formed a bridge where young people know where you are and can come to you as and when they want. It's vitally important that we don't forget them, but we go and journey with them where they are in their spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
There must be multiple stories where you've seen breakthroughs in the lives of young people, the impact you and your team have had. Can you give us maybe one example of where you've seen impact in the life of a young person?
There are so many individuals who we see small things as massive victories, I think. Like a boy who, when we met him, was just eyes in a hoodie, tied up, no eye contact, no conversation, nothing. We have film night and chips and what have you on a Friday, and he and his fellows came, and they were all very damaged young people, and it's like there was this shift, and over time we've seen this, but this particular day, this is like like when I get blessed by these incredible moments that someone who hadn't been there for them along the way wouldn't know. They wouldn't even know that was happening, but they were open-faced, there was eye contact, and they thanked me.
Wow.
And that was immense. It
doesn't, and that's a breakthrough, isn't it?
Much. It's huge for them. It's massive. And they were relaxed and open-faced and genuinely comfortable at the centre. Wow. and happy to be there. And you know what? That's all you need, isn't it? That took 2 years.
Wow,
that's
really?
Okay.
But Ange, devoted to those young people for 2 years, and for some thinking that's actually a really small thing, but actually in their lives, massive.
Yeah.
But also in terms of what drives you to do what you do, massive.
It's a joy. You know, something's happened, something has shifted.
You know, you're committed to them. You're committed to them when actually how many other adults would commit to them in that way? You've got adults like their teachers who have to commit to them because it's the law. Yes. But what they see in you is someone that actually doesn't have to be there, but is because you want to be. And that's incredibly powerful. And I think young people see that and know that. And I think that is the power in youth ministry. But what has brought you to this point where you are now running 7Corners youth projects?
I fell prey to addictions and the lifestyle that goes with that. And as I previously said, I'd lived off grid for a long time. I was with the New Age Traveller community. It was a fantastic community. There was a great acceptance of people's differences there. However, you know, I was a messed up bunny. Right. Through addiction, and then through various means, I met several people. I was taken to prayer meetings. I was taken to the Salvation Army in Aberystwyth. I went to meetings, sitting at the back, drunk and crying, and nobody made me feel as if I shouldn't be there. And I think that was the beginning of you know, the change for me. And of course, I was, you know, the officer was preaching the word, and faith comes through hearing and hearing the word of God. So, I mean, I didn't know that, but faith was coming.
Yeah. Whilst being in a place that accepted you and loved you and welcomed you.
Yeah, just, you know, regardless of the fact that I was, you know, such a wreck, you know, and on, you know, I would have been drinking that morning because I needed to drink.
So Ange, I mean, it's very hard to imagine now you're sat here in front of us and what the manager of 7Corners Youth Project, how has 7Corners itself played a part in your life?
I made a living by selling the big issue. And then I went to a breakfast meeting with one of the core members of Aberystwyth. I got saved. My life was just completely turned around. I met Jesus, and he pulled me up out of the mire. You know, I will quote those scriptures because they're so real. They're so real. He pulled me up and he said, "I'm not having any more of this. Come on, we got things to do." So I came back to my big issue pitch in Abergavenny and began selling the issue again, because I'd had a couple of weeks off. I got saved and was blown away, and, you know, needed to sort of like go,
take it all in.
What on earth is going on here? What's this all about then? Because, you know, the moment before I accepted Jesus, I didn't. Does that make sense? And then the moment I accepted him, it was like, whoa, the lights are on, you know. My addictions just, not apart from smoking cigarettes, which hung on for several years, but everything else.
Just overnight.
No there, in that moment, in a prayer meeting, I was slain in the spirit, and I got up and I was like, whoa, I am not the same. I was a new creation. I was not the same person.
Wow. And amen. I mean, healing, a miracle. And the way you speak so passionately brings it to life for us when we listen into your testimony, and it's quite incredible. And that's what drives you today in this work. And 7Corners really gave you an opportunity to live this out. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Well, I was still selling the issue down the end of the alleyway, which is situated next to the centre. And I knew that the people at the centre were Christians. I instinctively knew that I needed fellowship. You can't do this on your own. You've got to link up with people. And so I told the people here at the centre that, you know, this had happened to me. And I mean, they came back and they had like this, you know, mad sort of celebration, because they had been praying for that woman down there selling the Big Issue. I mean, it's just.
And you've come knocking on their door.
Well, yeah, going, oh yeah, got saved. You know.
Wow. But they've been praying for you.
Yeah.
All along.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's
Incredible.
Absolutely crazy.
I just wonder, in terms of, you're often out on the streets with young people and you describe some of their needs, but how are you enabling those young people to almost participate in their wider community so they feel a part of their community?
One way we seek to empower young people is by inviting them to participate in a festival that we run annually called the I Festival, which is the integrated youth event. Wow. We invite lots of young people organizations to come, and they can showcase what they do and what work they do with young people, but not with leaflets. They have to have an activity. It has to be engagement, just to introduce people to young people, the public, to what youth organizations do. We're about how can we serve them. So I want them involved. Wow. We have a stage tent and we invite young people to perform. I mean, it might be beatboxing, rapping, poetry, which is the same thing, you know, playing a guitar, I don't know, hopping up and down if that's what you want to do. Dance groups come.
you're really selling this event. I think,
yes,
I think you're going to have a number of Salvation Army youth leaders turn up in Abergavenny. It's just something quite beautiful of community cohesion, about enabling young people to meet people in the general public, but the general public realizing the depth of work that you do and the importance of the depth of the work you do. And ultimately, you're giving a platform for deeper relationship.
Yes.
I guess what you've seen over the years of working at 7Corners is it's through relationship and being with young people where real transformations happened.
Yes, absolutely. You cannot have a distance relationship with people. You have, you've got, and you need to get on there on a level that they understand, you know, and the only way to know what that is to hang out with people and to listen to them and listen to what they want and how they operate. I
know you've created something in 7Corners, but not just in the building, but actually when you take 7Corners to the street, you're taking a group of people that are going to accept young people for who they are and ultimately love them for who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is about loving them for who they are. You know, if you don't love people, how are you gonna, you can't do it, you have to love people.
And I think everyone who's been able to watch this interview really gets from you your deep faith in Jesus and how you live that out daily. Your whole life's been a testimony, and I think that the young people that you work with are very, very blessed to have you, someone who's willing to spend time and give up their time selflessly to be with them. So Ange, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for asking me.
Please join us next time where we'll be shining a spotlight on another local Salvation Army youth worker.